25th meeting of the Westborough Public Library Board of Trustees to order. I'm going to start with public forum. Seeing none, I'm going to move into the director's report.
Okay. Let me pull up what I've got for you. February is a very fast month, and so is January, especially this year. We had so many closings, and it felt like we started doing this new type of meeting on Mondays, and it still feels like we've only done 2 of them because we've had so many Mondays that have just been snowed out or closed. So, nothing that we wouldn't expect in terms of statistics for the month of January. Door counts are going to look a little bit different this month, only because what we have throwing them off is the mini golf family fun day. Yeah. So where you normally see red kind of dispersed throughout, they've all been kind of thrown in the garbage can because we had so many people through the doors on our Saturdays. So you can kind of see there, it's not one of those numbers is a bad number. Really amazing stats, and we actually extended to 8 p.m. All of the days so that you could even see like this Friday, these Friday numbers, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock are just one Friday night. That's the mini golf adult night. So you can see how many people came in through the doors during those hours. So really encouraged by those stats, especially in a really tough January, snowy January. We still pulled really, really exciting numbers. So I'll be excited to see what our actual numbers look like when we do our errors report.
So I just have a question on that. So,
yes.
So that's an average for a Saturday at 9 a.m.
This is an aggregate for the month.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is not an average. This is the totals.
That's totals. Okay. Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
So these will be a little bit off, like if you have, like we had a lot of Mondays that we were closed, so you'll see these numbers are really small. I can pull averages, I can pull means, I can pull, if you're ever interested in kind of that data, we can also look at it that way really, really easily on this new system.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's been really nice. And we also upgraded the system to include live occupancy monitoring. So we would be able to, and we're doing this for when we move back into the new building. So in terms of security, being able to have something that monitors how many people are going in somewhere at night, right? So staff can see, okay, 0 people have gone up to the 3rd floor.
It goes between the floors.
We can if we put one in there, right?
These are cameras, but are they? Is the data held anywhere for usually for a week?
Yeah. So the way they work is infrared. So they're not taking pictures of anybody. It's basically just it's heat mapping. And so it holds. Yeah. So it's not taking a picture of anybody's face. But yeah, it holds quantifiable data. So how many people, how many entries you had, how many exits you had. And you can even get badges for staff, so it won't count staff going in and out, which is something we might look at in the new building when we move back in.
So it's really not a security system.
No, it's not a security. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's exactly what it is. Which will be great for those areas where we can't put doors. Yep. So that staff feel a little bit safer in the building at night, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that we're considering. For right now, what we have is 1 at each entryway and then 1 on the entryway into children's, so that we can get really specific children's room data, which would be really nice to see. That's why that one looks a little funny. A couple things I want to mention that I've kind of mentioned before, but now we're really at launch time for our One Book, One Borough program. So just to remind you, this is a first initiative of its kind here, where we are working with all the boroughs around us, Northborough, Southborough, Westborough, and Marlborough. And we've had a bunch of meetings with different committees working together to come put on this program. The book that they chose is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. Sarah Beth Durst is local to Northborough. I don't think she lives there anymore, but she still has family in the area. So I brought copies in case anybody wants them. We have a certain number of copies just to give away. We've also added a huge number to our circulating collection. So I think we added something like a dozen large print, which were really hard to find, but we got them. And I think we'll be adding a good number to our speed read collection and to our regular collection, as are the other three libraries. But we also have a number of them to give away in hopes that people will take it, read it, pass it on. And so we'll have those available at some of the programs. And then the other thing that so if anybody wants when they're here, I have more. I just didn't know who would be, some of you, I'm sure Kate's already read it. But I also have, you have, right? But I also have the brochures here and then some of the swag that we have for the program. So right now we have, these are the stickers that we've gotten for, awesome. For some giveaways, we have some totes coming in from Marlborough because we all kind of resource shared on this project, which was great. So we'll have some giveaways. We're also in the middle of redecorating our front window display to be the spell shop. But that will be coming kind of as we begin March. There'll probably be a week where we're working on setting that up. But very cottage core. It's a cozy fantasy. It has themes of being neighborly and taking care of each other. The main character is a librarian. And for me, it's a really cool book to choose for these programs because it isn't nonfiction. It isn't heavy. It isn't, let's only talk about this really heavy subject, but let's use a fantasy novel to then talk about these heavier subjects within these, which is, I think, such a creative way to do these types of programs. So really hoping people attend. And just as a plug, we have Sarah Beth Durst coming on May 7th at 7 p.m. It is a ticketed program, but it is free. So all the details are on our calendar. We also have a website set up, westborough.cwmars.org/onebook. That has all of the programs, because in this flyer is only some of the programs happening. All of the programs are on that one website that Karen Mattis, our Reader Services Librarian, set up. So you can go there and sign up for any of these programs, including a library crawl, which will be April 19th through the 25th, which is National Library Week. And so, yeah, we have this little passport system. If you go to each library and get a stamp on your passport anytime within that week, you're entered to win a prize and you get a little piece of swag. So for us, we have little pins that have not come in yet, but will be here. So I think it's going to be a really cool program. Hopefully it's one of many annual events that we're able to do and kind of bring people together. I think everyone could use a little bit of escapism right now. I think now is a great time for a fantasy novel and come together around that and talk about the benefits of being neighborly and taking care of each other. So I'm excited about that. More to come. We have a kind of our launch is like a tea ceremony, well, it's like a tea. It's a get together, book tea, coming up, I believe, on March 3rd, but I can double check on that. So really excited about the spell shop. Wanted to mention our mini golf events that we had on 130 and 131. Was super excited to see the numbers on that. We had over 1,200 people come through, which is an amazing number for both of those events. This is the first year that we combined the teens Winterfest that they usually run with the mini golf. I don't know that we'll be able to do that moving forward. It would just worked out because we had this large space to do it in. Yeah. We'll be more limited next year, and we've talked about kind of what that might look like. But it was really, really good to see. I think the turnout was great. I don't have final numbers on what we raised in terms of the foundation, but as soon as I get those, I'll forward those to you guys. And thank you all for coming and attending. And I just thought the turnout on Friday night, I was worried about it because we're in a different space. And I was like, it's going to seem empty because there's 30,000 square feet here, but it did not. Yeah. So
and I made 2 holes in 1.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
My God.
I got 1 hole in 1. I normally don't even get to play, so that was really nice.
The teens did a fantastic job. I was also here been back on Saturday, my neighbor, and her friend, and it was amazing. It was
Yeah.
packed,
So that was the feedback we
but it
got.
was a ton of fun, and the kids were really entertained. There was a lot going on, but it wasn't overwhelming at the same time. They did a really great job.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jen and her wave volunteers did a great job, and they did a lot of the footwork of like planning what they wanted to do and then executing that.
That was well done.
Yeah. Um, just a few little like program participation, attendance trends. I'm trying to make sure that I kind of highlight these within our director's reports. Every month I get reports from each department head and going through those and kind of picking through what I think is important. But I think always important is showing how much work goes into each one of these events. So I think our stats are really great to look at. So like Children's Services having 30 active programs with 563 attendees, and then kind of passively 165 participants. Adult Services having 32 programs, like that's a huge number for a month. And even great participation in some of the virtual events. There's one tonight that like really seemed cool. So like Tracy's putting in a lot of work. We now have kind of an adult services program planning team. Just today, we had a meeting up in the rec department with the program planners up there to get on the same page about what can we work together on, what can we do collaboratively. And that was really good. So I'm excited about where we're headed with our leadership team and with the work that they're doing. They're really putting a lot of work in. And then kind of lastly, this is an item that's been on our kind of ongoing items list, but I want to mention in here that I was able to meet with Local Librarian Consulting, which is a consulting company run by Maura Didi, who, if you're familiar with Maura Didi, I'm sure you guys are, I'm sure you've worked with her before, but she literally wrote the Board of Trustees handbook that we use. She used to be work for the MBLC and work for MLS. So somebody who's really versed in the work we do here, both specifically in libraries, but also in Massachusetts, which is a huge part of knowing the rules and regulations and state law of how it goes. So she was able to kind of give me what she normally does, what she would recommend that we do based on our meetings that we have had that she was able to review. And what she recommended is working on, so there's basically 3 tiers of what we could possibly do to work with her. And that is completely up to you guys and how you want to do that. So once I kind of get her proposal, like formal proposal, I will send it off to this group to take a look at, to review, so that we can kind of put on the docket for a voter decision next month of when we want to look at that work, which tier you guys are interested in, if any, in moving forward on working with her. But the bottom line is what she thinks would be really good for us that she's done in a few other towns with a lot of success, is working on a facilitated retreat to distinguish board and director functions, to develop a governance compact and communication protocols, which basically means drafting updated bylaws and a formal code of conduct, which I really liked because the select board just voted in a code of conduct. So we have a starting place of like, how do we want our bylaws to look? And what do we want that code of conduct to look? Which for me feels really good. Foundationally for posterity, to have a document like that that spells out what this board does. Because the group we have here won't be the group that we have 10 years from now or 10 years after that. But we do need some foundational documentation. And, you know, for example, one of the things that we do, and I've talked to a few of you about it, is when we present a policy, if it's a new policy, we don't vote on it that day, we wait till the next one. I haven't been able to find that written down anywhere. Maybe somebody else knows where it is, but like it would be really helpful to have that written down so that the next director or the next board chair or the next board, whatever, understands what our bylaws are and why we have them. And that it's based on town charter, that it's based on state law, that it's sound in all of these principles that I'm not the expert in, but Maura is. I think that those kind of governance documents would be really helpful for us, but also helpful for you guys to have in terms of working with the town. So that we have clear guidelines on what you guys do, what the town does, what I do, so that we can try to work on having strength in those gray areas. And I think it's a helpful thing to do like every 10 years anyway. But I think given that it's been so long since something like that has existed, or maybe it doesn't, I'm just not aware, but also when you have a director for so long and then get somebody new, it's a really good opportunity to kind of reassess where you're at in terms of all of that. So from what kind of Maura has spoken to me about, or at least written down in an email, is the 3 different tiers. There's different levels of involvement, right? And what she'll do within those 3. Obviously, they range from $2,500 all and at the highest end, $9,000. So that is really going to be a discussion for you guys to have once you get the formal proposal and can kind of see what menu of options you get from that. And also her bio and kind of some examples of work she's done so that you can see if it's something that you're interested in. But that's been something that's been on my to-do list and wanted to make sure that I got that information out to you kind of as soon as I get it.
So when will we receive that?
I'm hoping I have something by the end of the week.
Can you tell me her name again?
Maura Deedy, Deedy. Yeah.
So that will be a more formal proposal.
Yes, it'll be a formal proposal with all the 3 tiers and exactly what is involved in each one.
Just have a question. I'm, again, new to this. And I have great respect for what you're trying to do, but I feel that any decision about what we do as the trustees should come from this group, not from the director and others to begin with. It should come from first this group getting together and saying, what do we need to do to make it more of a grassroots, and then go into the next level of which is state management and what you're learning. But I think we need to have a good idea of training, but not necessarily yet with a $2,000 person coming in, whatever it was. But rather starting with that grassroots piece of having a workshop in which there's protocol and just, different kinds of things that we can discuss on what the roles and responsibilities are. So when we move up to that place where we may be investing all that money, we would have real opportunity to have thought it through and asking questions rather than being given information and then having not very much time to process it when they're there. So that's, I think it's a tiered process, but I think we should start at the grassroots and move up.
If I may,
Yep.
I think that if I understand this correctly, this is a way for us to learn what the official roles and duties of trustees is, of the director is, how we can work together within the structure that's given to us by state law and the MLBC and all of that. So I think really the best way to start is with information that we may not have right now on what is our official role based on law and practice. So to me, that's what this step is finding out, what do trustees do in libraries? What are their limits? What are their strengths? What are their roles, their actual defined roles? Some of us have gone through some of the trustee training. I'm guessing this will go a little deeper. So it gives us the basic information that we need before we can do the grassroots kind of development.
I agree, Kate.
That's my understanding.
I think I agree with you because like Mary, I'm very much a newbie here. I'm not even sure what I don't know, but I know there's a lot of it. And I'd like people who are a little more focused on this professionally to maybe give me some guidance to get me to the point where I've grown out of the need to lean on them and can maybe make some more significant contributions to the discussion or to the questioning.
Yeah, my understanding from my conversation with Maura is that what she generally does is it's a lot of working with the trustees. So it's surveying, it's one-on-one conversations, it's group meetings, it's all of this to work with you guys so that it is your document created by you, but it also hands her a lot of the work in terms of generating the documentation based on what you're looking for.
When you say documentation, you're talking about the bylaws and.
Some version of whatever governance documents you guys feel like. It might not be a bylaws document, it might not be a code of conduct. Those were just kind of the two that she kind of sees generally. But it may not be what you guys decide you would like to have. But I think that you would figure that out with her based on what you see as your need. So I think she would do that with you guys. I think she would probably talk to me. I think she would probably talk to some staff. She would probably talk to town management and make sure that town charter wise, all of those things are taken into account. We always hire a consultant when we do our 5-year plan, strategic plan, and it's always super helpful because in terms of just putting it all together into one document that's usable, that's work that is really time consuming. And it's really useful to have an expert work on that with you, so that you can make sure that it's kind of sound on all those fronts. So yeah, it would be completely generated by what this board wants to see.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I want to hear what she has to say.
So for the proposal,
Mhm.
and we'll have a discussion about it, hopefully next month, depending upon when the proposal comes in.
Yeah, and I'm working on a full, they just finished the 2025 numbers in Unis, which is our like system for the town, financial system. And so getting a real clear answer on what is the status of all of our trust funds, what is spendable, and I'm doing this. I have access to the system.
The numbers.
The numbers, the accuracy of the numbers are tough. So I've requested a meeting to kind of go through them. Because we have different rules on each different trust fund. And really I'm gathering this for FF&E furniture. What money do we have to play with? Like just in general, should we need it? So assessing each, so we have certain funds where you can only use the income, right? The interest income for it. But interest income could mean any of the interest it's ever gathered, not necessarily just last year. So I also have to figure out what were the principal amounts of those funds. So I'm working on that now. So I'm hoping by next month we'll not only have the proposal, but we'll also know our status in terms of, you know, what is $2,000 based on what you kind of have? Is it 1%? Is it 2%? Is it 10%? What does that really look like?
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see the in-depth report on those trust funds,
Yeah,
not only for this, but also for the project.
yeah. And it's the new town accountant just started a month ago, and she has already gotten all the 2025 numbers in, which is a huge feat. So I'm really impressed by that.
Very good.
All right. That is all I have, unless there's any questions.
All right, so that brings us up to the repair project update.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wanna touch base on that?
Yeah, so repair project is chugging along. We are still on track for a September opening. The change order to replace the damaged pipes was approved at the last LBC meeting. And so work has been ongoing on that, which is wonderful to see because that was the one piece we were a little concerned about pushing that date back. It looks like we're still going to be okay based on how fast that work is happening. So work continues on all of the interior things. It's really interesting to go there every week and to see one of the kind of fun things that has happened recently is drywall's gone up. And so we were seeing a lot of framing, and to see the actual drywall in was like really, really wild. And it's all like the fire drywall, so it's all purple. And I was like, please tell me that's not the color of this. But so it's been really nice to see work actually happening that you can see. A couple things that came to our attention being there that we didn't know about. So one is there's a lot of piping that has to run on the exterior of the interior walls, like things that you would expect to be covered in wall, and it isn't, it's just out. Especially in the historic area, it's a really kind of unsightly piping. And so we had a lot of discussions about not all of it. They had to add a lot of new piping there. I think it's for sprinkler.
So you mean it's where people can see it?
Like it will just run along the ceiling.
Think of it as being industrial.
It's so we had a lot of discussion about that. And really what we came to was, even though it's a little bit more work, we thought it was worth it to try to paint it the same color as the wall it's on. And just kind of really insist on them doing that work rather than just kind of taking the really easy route of saying, oh, it's fine, just black, right? And so we took the extra time to make sure that we were kind of choosing the right color for the right section of pipe. And that came up now because that they have to prime that piping, and that's work that can be done before all the drywall goes up. So like trying to keep the timeline going. And we've reached the point where we're really starting to make some decisions on some of the FF&E. So shelving has been the big conversation. Where is shelving going to go? How much shelving can we possibly fit? And my team here, my leadership team, the team that has been working on the shelving, have done, I cannot even explain to you how many assessments of the collection, looking at the proposed shelving, how much linear footage is that? What will our current collections fit on it? What can we cut because we know that they won't? And how can we squeeze every last linear foot of shelving in this space? And so we have been meeting with Tucker Interiors, who do mostly shelving, but they do a lot of other things, but they are really the shelving experts. And we feel really happy with the latest plan that we have. We've been very purposeful in where the shelving is going to go and what collections can fit where. Yeah, assessing everything. Even as something as small as, let's look at every individual magazine and how many issues we have, how much square inches of shelf does it take, linear inches of shelving does it take versus how much does it go out? And what is the right size for a magazine collection and where can it go? So we have had to do all of those collection evaluations now so that we can make sure that we're purchasing the right shelving. How many shelves is going to go up? How deep do we need the shelving? Do we need backers? Are we getting media shelving? Do we do all the same type of shelving so that we can interchange the shelves if we want? So it has been a very long process to getting that shelving just right. And we're, I would say, 95% there. And that's really due to the work of the people on our staff. Really putting the work in and trying to be very creative about that. So that's a huge thing to figure out. We're working at circulation desk now because that determines electrical floor boxes. And so we're at a critical mass with that. So figuring out where that circ desk is going to go and what pieces are going to go there. I anticipate it will look very well, not aesthetically, but in terms of wear and functionality, it will be very similar to where the old circ desk was. But just more functional. And then finalized finishes on some of it, down to door stain color, and working with the architect firm on paint choices. And I think that my team spent 2.5 hours down at the Sherwin-Williams, just driving the staff crazy there. Bringing samples into the shade and then into the sun and making sure that they were gonna play nice. And then the architect firm was able to take those recommendations based on kind of their version 1 and then put them into the mock-up and then offered us their recommendations based on what we had kind of given them. So we're probably in version 12 of what that looks like, but we feel very confident in it. And yeah, so I think bottom line, we're on track. There's a lot of stuff going on. Really the big things in the spring will be the roofs. And getting movement on that. That will be kind of the big thing. If you saw, the transformer pad is in, and those have you seen the big giant cylinders that have gone up around it on the Parkman Street side? So as an FYI, those will be bright yellow and there's nothing we can do about those.
Sort of a safety requirement.
Yes. I didn't realize they would be so big.
Yeah, right, agreed.
Yeah. But that's okay. Our hope in the long run, way down the road, is on kind of the wall behind them that goes all the way up, where that beautiful tree used to be, to do some sort of public art piece, mural on the library that should beautify that space and hopefully bring the eye away from those yellow columns. But that's not a this year problem.
Yep, so like Kate said, project generally is on time, give or take a few days based on the piping and how the installation of that goes and can they make up that time. But it's still on budget and still early September, so we're in good shape. And we'll keep you posted on. That brings us to the privacy policy discussion. I didn't see in the drive a marked up version.
You did not, so we will not be discussing the privacy policy.
Okay.
I had asked for a red line version and did not receive one.
Okay, great, then we will bump that.
Okay.
So we'll do that next month.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I thought there was one other policy last month we had said.
Maybe Corey policy. So the thing about the Corey policy is a lot of it is set by the town. So it's one thing is Coreying volunteers when they come in, and that is something that we do, we've always done.
Yeah.
The other part of it is Coreying staff. And there's a state minimum of once every 3 years. Our policy said once every 2 years. So we kind of have to do some work with town hall to figure out what is their policy, because our employees are technically their employees. And so making sure that we are kind of aligned with them. And so we have reached out and done some work, but we're not at a point where we can present that yet.
Okay.
But both of those policies should be fairly, they're already existing policies, and hopefully we'll be quick once we get the answers that we need.
Okay, sounds good.
So you're just clarifying the discrepancy.
Yeah, just want to make sure we're doing what the town requires as well.
That brings us to our standing items, open items list. Consultant we just talked about. I cleaned it up a bit and removed the ones that were closed. Suggestion box, do we have anything in that?
We do have 2 items. One is came in to drop off hearing aids, Lions Club collects. We have a Lions Club glasses box. I wonder if this is a request for also a hearing aids
I don't
box.
think we've ever collected hearing aids. That is my recollection.
Okay,
I don't know if they do.
I don't know either.
I've
We
only
can,
ever thought
I'll
they
ask Bert
collected.
tonight.
yeah, that would be great.
And can you also ask me, is there a place in town that has a box so that if someone's looking for it, we can? You know what I mean? Okay.
And the other one is the same person that we get every month, which is why is there no longer a magazine swap?
I
Really
actually
got
got
it.
someone mentioned that to me as well.
Yeah.
So why is there no longer a magazine swap?
So there's a lot of reasons why there's no longer a magazine swap. And realistically, we are looking at basically the new building, really. So one is the magazine swap did require a lot of staff interfacing, cleaning it up, dealing with people dumping unwanted National Geographics constantly. And so while we do have space here to put it, we don't have the furniture, but we have the space here, but we will not have the space for it when we move back into the old library. I think one of the things that I've mentioned to you tonight is how we are agonizing over every linear inch of shelving. And I guess my thought process is, if the magazine swap was the most important thing, and I do think one comment or two comments is not a trend.
So what exactly did they say?
Is it signed, by the way?
No. This is why is there no longer a magazine swap? Really miss it. So the reality is, if we're prioritizing a magazine swap, we're losing a collection. And I'm not really sure that as a library, that is what we should, like, in terms of priority, our collection should probably be priority one over a magazine swap. So I'm not saying it's not a good service or it wasn't well used. I'm sure it was. I just want to make sure that we're focusing on core library services first and making sure that we can do all those before we expand into something that would not normally be considered a core library service.
So while there's room here in this space,
There won't be.
just isn't the space in the.
Yeah. And so our hope was, during this transition, does that find somewhere else to live? We've also toyed with the idea of doing magazine swap as a program rather than as a stationary, because we've had a lot of libraries have success with things like puzzle swaps or craft swaps. And so maybe a magazine swap would be a good thing for us to do. We've also toyed with the idea of, we're working on a partnership with Craft Lab, and if they have a use for these magazines, I'm not really sure what everybody taking them or giving them away. I'm sure there were 10 different reasons that people took them, and it wasn't just one. So coming up with some creative solutions for it, but it would be a question for you guys if we did think that it was important enough to put back, of what we would lose to gain that.
So for people that might not know, can you just describe what it looked like before in the old library?
Yes, it was like like a stand that people would leave magazines on and take magazines off of.
Is this the one by the old stairway?
Yes, correct.
So I could bring in my old Yankee magazines, my old Atlantics, leave them there and walk off with a couple of old New Yorkers, perhaps. Okay. Is that something that, I mean, because we're going to be so pressed for space, is that something like maybe the community center, which has a lot of space, might be willing to do? I mean, if it's a service that people want and we aren't going to have room for it, maybe we can encourage someone else to pick up the baton.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. We've toyed with either I don't know that it's the appropriate function of the rec department either, if I'm thinking about kind of core services, but I do wonder if the senior center might actually get a lot of use out of a magazine swap, especially because they're going to be in this space eventually. But yeah, I mean, we can definitely ask around and see if anybody wants to take that on. Or like, this is why it would be useful if they were signed,
Yeah.
right? Making that suggestion to
I was
whomever.
wondering, so one of the thoughts is that since this is a request that we've had repeatedly, and a few of us have gotten it outside of this context, so it's definitely a question in the community to a certain degree. I'm wondering if maybe an informational sign for a couple weeks in our current magazines that says, we heard you, we want, this is what happened to the magazine swap. And a little explanation of, in moving to the new space, we only brought things with us that will be going back to the old space. There is no space in the old building for that, but we're looking for ideas to potentially do something. So that people know that we're hearing it and that there's a reason why it's not here.
Yeah, I do feel like if somebody was looking for an answer, it would be very easy to reach out to any of us directly so that we could give them the answer. I worry about the precedent it sets by putting a reasoning why we're no longer doing a service or whatever in the space. Because I have had to lean on our collection development policy when I've had questions about items being removed from our collection, which we know is kind of core service of what we do. And I don't want to set a precedent that anytime we eliminate an item, that we're then having to post an explanation of it. That's my only concern.
I would think differently of this since it's not a singular item, but it was like a service that people used. And they're curious what happened to it and why.
Okay.
So it's just
I know, it's
some
just this,
suggestions.
it just seems to me that there's by the way, I think your answer makes perfect sense.
Okay.
But that being said, there are organizations in town that have reasonably high traffic for low or no cost goods and services. I'm thinking particularly of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, where they do clothing, they clothing and other stuff, and or possibly schools, because you see magazines, I see maybe potential collage material,
Yeah.
and heaven only knows what the elementary school teachers might come up with. But it seems to me, if we have people who are willing to contribute to a process here, maybe it would make sense to at least come up with an alternative suggestion and have them do the footwork, try to find out something, or maybe not.
I just don't have a sense if it's the same person we keep hearing from.
I don't know,
Or if
right?
if this is a need that we're hearing from multiple people and this is really a need, or if it's just one person who feels very strongly about this. I don't know.
It's really hard to discern because I can say that I'm fairly certain the comments are coming from the same person.
Which I feel for that person as well.
Yeah.
But I just don't know.
You have to look at what's in the mission of what the library is and the tradition of a library. And I can't see having people dump their things that they don't want here. The next step might be, we have all these old shoes. It'd be good for the homeless. And could we dump them at it's bad enough that other things get left behind. But I just don't see I've never even noticed this or even saw it in the library, and I've been here 10 years. You said it was next to the stairs going downstairs.
Yeah.
By the stairs were several of us had our petitions signed.
Oh, down post? Okay,
Yeah.
almost outside, but I never noticed.
Could I mention something, please?
Go ahead.
So that's something that I use all the time. And when I talk about it at the front desk, they say that many people ask about it. They just don't write it down. So the people who use it are magazines are very expensive. So I'm thinking that it's seniors. I'm thinking it's parents whose children have projects. I use it because I take the magazines and I donate them to the dementia unit where my husband lived. And I didn't make my donation last year at the end of the year because I didn't have the magazines. That's one of the most important things that I donate there. The magazines with pictures are very, very important to them. And they're probably important for the seniors who can't afford the magazines either. So this is a public service that the library has provided for many years that means a lot to a lot of people. And many of you may not be using it, but those of us who do use it, it means a lot to us. And so it doesn't feel very good when it's laughed at in our meetings, and it has been laughed at in our meetings a number of times. And I don't appreciate it. And I'm guessing that the people that it means something to wouldn't appreciate it either. It doesn't feel good. So
Thank you for sharing that. I apologize if you feel that it's been laughed at.
I just never saw it.
I'm certainly not laughing at it, and I was asking, I'm glad that you shared that you use it, and a lot of people use it. I did not know who was using it, and I'm glad that you shared and let me know how it's being used.
and I'm not saying that anyone tonight is laughing at it. So I apologize for that if that sounded like that.
No, but I'm very glad that you shared
Mhm.
that information. That is very helpful for me to put it in context. Thank you.
I agree. I think it's very important because just because I don't use something doesn't mean it doesn't have value. But when it comes down to, do we have, more books? Or can we find another way for this service to continue in a healthy and productive way in a place that has more space?
Mhm.
Because it sounds to me like it's very valuable, and I kind of wish I had paid attention to it earlier because, as I mentioned, I have a lot of old magazines. So I think
Maybe
that
that's, Janine, when you get a little more mobile, uh, hopefully it'll be soon. We could get together offline, just have a, a conversation about this and see, because if magazines with bright pictures are useful, there may be other things that would never occur to me that might also be useful. Maybe in the course of of the discovery of what's useful, we could come up with some ideas about how to get what's useful out to people who can make use of it.
Sure, that would be great. I mean, I don't think the senior center would maybe be the right location because the parents wouldn't go there when their kids need a project. So we would need a place where people of all ages go that that they
And
would,
we also have a very active food bank in town,
but
and when people go, and I
Yeah,
don't know
they
if they
have
have
very
room or-
limited hours.
there's
Very
no
limited.
room there either. It's
Room.
that place is, I'm there at least once a week, most weeks, and there is very little space there, unfortunately. There's no, even the place where people go to wait for their turn is full of stuff.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Because
So
I
it's
thought
just-
of that too. But there must be other places that would get.
so we had just have to think about that, the fact that the library is a place that everybody comes to. And if we pick a location like the food bank, well, that's not where everybody goes. The senior plant center isn't the place where everybody goes. The community center is potentially a place where everybody might go. That is true.
And they actually have a lot of like lobby space,
I was just thinking
which
that
might not be a
downstairs.
bad fit. I do want to preface this conversation to just bring it back around to say, no one here is saying it's not a good service. I think my perspective is we are at a critical point where our 20,000 square foot library is being reduced to even less. Because you have to remember those 3 bathrooms are taking up a huge chunk of what was 20,000 square feet. It's like when you physically go in there, and maybe we can arrange something so everybody can see the space at some
I
point.
think it's probably a good point in the project to do that.
Yeah. But when you're in there, it becomes real how much space those bathrooms are taking up. It's basically the entire where the old computers were, all the way to where the stacks were, is now no longer usable space. And we have to find out where, like, we have to figure out where we're going to put all of that stuff. The teen room taking up all of fiction. We need to put that fiction somewhere. And so I can't tell you what percentage of our books are going to have to go, but I will tell you it will be a large number. And we will do our best to utilize every square inch of that place, but we really do need to think about core library services because we are going to be reassessing even collections that we currently have, saying, is this a collection that we still should have based on how much shelf space it's taking up? And for me, it's not about whether the magazines are a good service or not. It's about where that lies in our priority list. And are you willing to give up local history for a magazine swap? Are you willing to give up 25% of fiction or this shelving unit in large print to put a magazine swap? Because we circ 45 magazines. So the people who can't afford magazines, we are already giving them a way to access them. Sure, they can't cut them up. Sure, they can't keep them.
Like it's access for
Absolutely.
reading purpose.
But providing magazines for people to cut up, keep, that is not a core library service. That to me is a side library service, something that has been great to be able to offer. but we really are going to have to really think about, is that magazine swap worth getting rid of a study carrel? Because we know people here use our study carrels, and right where that magazine swap is about where we're going to be putting the Nook. And so do we get rid of the Nook, which we spent, I don't know how much money on, for a magazine swap? And the Nook is used every single day, every hour of the day, somebody is in that Nook. So I don't want it to be, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying it's not an important service. I am just saying it is not core to our function as a circulating library. And if we are sitting here really considering eliminating full collections, then putting a magazine swap to the top of the list because 1, 2, 5, 10 people have asked for it. I can't measure how many people would ask for a collection that we would eliminate because we haven't done it yet. So it's really hard to make that decision. But I will say, if we go back to mission, vision, values, what do we do as a library? Those are the things that we need to put first. And it's something we're gonna have to think about. Because when we do move back into the library, there will be a number of things that we don't take with us. And we're gonna get questions about it. And we're gonna have to be armed with the right answer. And this is why we're doing so much assessment and so much data collecting and making these decisions based on library principals and by library professionals who are assessing data and are able to back up every decision that we're making based on best practices, based on collection development policy. But that's really where we're at. That's a realistic look at where we're at, is you need to remember how much square footage is getting eliminated. We're not just moving back to our old space. So yeah, I mean, there are things that people are going to miss, but hopefully we will find new ways to still fill that need. Maybe it won't look the same. Maybe it will live somewhere else. Maybe there's a new partnership that we can make, but there's going to be a lot of things that look a little bit different. And we have to base our decisions based on really sound data and not just on a vocal, possibly minority. Maybe the number is higher. But on the flip side, right, if somebody said, I don't know, we really want snowshoes, we liked the snowshoes, we need them back, and 10 people said we want snowshoes back, we are still never going to have the space to fit all of the snowshoes. That cannot be, like, at that point we have to make the decision, are snowshoes more important than large print materials? And I would hope as a library we never say they are. But that's really the point of where we're at. And I really need to make that known, because it is different when you think about the square footage.
But hopefully we can reach out to other deviant organizations.
Yeah, we've been racking our brain about
Yeah.
who can it go to, who can we work with? Can we do it as a program that happens once a month?
Right.
Is there
creative solutions?
creative
It's
solutions?
not all or nothing.
Correct. And if you two meet and come up with something that you need help facilitating, let us know, because we've been working really hard at making partnerships.
Good. Okay, that's a great answer. That's all I wanted, and a heck of a lot more, to be honest. But there's this
Yeah,
is a good start.
we could use the help with some ideas for sure.
Well, and even though this started as a discussion over the magazine swap, I think it is an informative and healthy discussion to have ahead of the new space happening, because there are going to be things that are not going to be part of the new library, that were part of the old, and that people did utilize. And so I think in any transition, information is the key to bridging that growing pains for people. And so I think as it gets closer and we narrow down more information about exactly how much square footage we're losing, and as well as what we're gaining in terms of dedicated teen space, the bathrooms, study place, those kinds of things, I think having that all readily available will be important to help educate the public about the reasons behind decisions that were made. So I just say keep collecting data. All right. Any other questions about that?
Good discussion.
It was, and thank you for sharing, Janine. Okay. And I might have got kicked off. No, let's, nope, I'm done. Okay. Next up on the agenda is trustee community outreach.
I don't think we have
I don't
anything
think
cooking,
anything's
Janine, do we?
No, that's on pause and we'll see if it continues, but right now it's on pause.
Can I add something? I just, again, I'd like to put in a word about the conversation circles that Tracy has enabled. And one of the things that we are doing is placing. We stole one of your posters, and we changed it a little bit, and we put some tear sheets on the bottom.
Oh, great.
And then we did it in Portuguese and in Spanish as well. And they're now up in various places, including the food bank, a couple of supermarkets. And as soon as the weather gets better, I'll be going over to Amazon and seeing what we can do there. And Tracy's been incredibly supportive of all of this.
She's so good.
But if any of you have any suggestions, as this is a big opportunity, if you can tell me where to put it, I'll move stuff out.
Because I'm sure their families
I'm sorry?
or schools.
Okay, the schools don't really have a place where, like a community board,
Yeah,
things for
yeah.
people to.
But if
I
any,
think, but at least, yeah, contact, because I'm sure that within the schools have families, that don't, if they can just.
well, the conversation circle really focuses not on teaching English, but on making people comfortable with the English they have.
Mhm.
And I've seen some examples where it's just worked out wonderfully well.
Mhm.
But it's very much, the concept works.
Mhm.
And now that we've gone through the proof of concept, I'd like to see if we can expand this. And it's if you can think of some ways we can get the word out, places where we can either go out and talk to people or just put up these posters. It's just 8.5 by 11 with. We've reduced part of what you had and replaced it with. She's very good at cutting out. She's super.
All right,
But
great.
I think it's a good opportunity for us to enable a part of the community. And if anybody has any ideas on this, I actually can listen. So let me know. And
My other idea though is, like I know St. Luke's does some English language stuff, so,
and that's also it's I think potentially a very good way to advertise for the library.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
it's part of our marketing
Yeah,
campaign.
and people who wouldn't necessarily.
That's it.
Thanks. I know we've mentioned this before, and I didn't pick it up on this month, but changing that trustee community outreach to community advocacy.
Yes, we
Right.
have done that before.
Okay. Any other library director issues? Not touched upon?
No,
Terrific.
we were supposed to do the lunch and learn at the senior center tomorrow. That's been postponed until next month. So we are looking forward to that.
Terrific. Treasurer's report, I did not see one. Did I miss it?
So the treasurer's
Oh,
report
there it is. Why is it not in my draft?
this month, it is basically identical to the one from last month.
Correct.
Yes, because it was for all of January. Originally, there was a February one in there that I moved to March.
Yeah, it's not in my folder,
Oh, that's weird.
but like it's in the folder.
It's here.
Let me just.
Yeah, so it's essentially, I think it's almost identical. It might actually be identical.
Yeah.
Because all the expenses for that month
Okay.
made it in, and nothing major.
Yeah.
has gone in this month. We do have a few renewals coming up. So I would expect February, you might see some of these numbers jump a little bit. And then travel out of state and
Okay.
some of in-state, you might see that go away as Lynn and I will be heading to Minneapolis. March 31st, I believe we both leave and come back April 4th for Public Library Association conference. Which is really good timing because we are going to be having to make final decisions on appropriate furniture, and it helps to be able to see the size of it. So they will have a lot of it there at the Public Library Association conference. And Lynn's never been.
No, it's great. It's a great opportunity for her.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll take a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
So
Make the motion.
Mhm.
You did that, sure.
Mike, will you second that?
yes,
Okay, thank you. All in favor here? I think I need to do roll call on people online. So Kate,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
is Dot still there?
Looks like we lost that.
Might have lost Dot.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then that brings us to Secretary's report approval of minutes.
So, you know, I had, I missed who approved the treasurer's report last month. For some reason, I didn't have it written down, but it actually is the exact same treasurer's report I just checked that we just approved right now. So
Fantastic.
I don't know if I can just, what do I do? Should I just, what do I do?
Well, for accuracy of these reports, we had a Zoom meeting last month because, so we might still have the recording.
We
Well,
did.
we do.
Yeah,
I looked
believe
at it. I looked at it and we actually, and I would please urge anyone else to look at it, but we got sidetracked by a discussion and I'm not sure that we actually voted on it last month.
Oh, I didn't have it written
Well,
down.
we might not have voted on it because we were doing it in February.
Yes.
That's probably why,
Oh,
because we changed that system.
okay. So
Great.
I'll just
Just
amend
remove
amend that.
Thank you for looking back
Nice.
at that recording.
There we go. And we approved it right now.
Fantastic.
is-
Okay, so then we don't need that. Perfect. So, see, I didn't see anything else that needed change. I'll take a motion to accept, sorry. First day
I'll
back
move.
work. Kate, that was you?
Yep.
Okay, could I have someone second it? Second. Mary, okay, all in favor here? And then, roll call, Kate
Yes.
and Janine?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Why do I keep losing it?
Trying here.
Okay.
Uh,
Friends and Foundation, I just wanted to say a thank you to the Friends and Foundation for the awesome event that we talked about earlier, the mini golf. It was really awesome. I talked to Maureen right after it, actually that night right after it, and she was very pleased with how things went, but I didn't have final numbers either, so.
so regarding the friends and probably the foundation, outside of library business, I bumped into a few of them in the course of my days. And I'm wondering if it might be appropriate for us just to invite them either virtually or physically to come to a meeting so we can actually say thank you face to face.
Sure.
Because one of them mentioned that the book donations were slowing down on their end. And it may be a sign of the times. It may just mean that they need to be a little more encouraging, and I think
Yeah.
we can facilitate that by giving them a hug.
Sounds good.
Uh,
Yeah, we can do that for next month.
yeah, and do we have these are not being captured for later streaming, are they?
These?
Yes.
No.
Okay. But even just coming in virtually or this way.
Yeah.
Just, doing something nice for the people who do nice stuff for us.
Sounds good. I like that.
So will you be inviting them or?
Yeah, I'll invite them for next month.
Yeah, and I don't have a formal Friends or Foundation update.
We know when their next book sale is.
They just had one, I think, February 14th. It's usually the second Saturday. Don't know off the top of my head. I can look it up.
It's a second.
So they had one on the 14th?
They did a little Valentine's Day one. Isn't that so cute?
That's great.
Yeah, it was very packed. So I think they did $1,100.
That's great.
Yeah, which is really, really good for a winter sale.
I know, they've been having a lot of success.
Yeah,
That's
and they've spread out, which
Yeah.
is really nice. But again, something we won't have when we move back. So let's enjoy it while we have it. Like our window display, we're enjoying it while we have it.
Okay, so agenda items for next month meeting, I have potentially a proposal, potential Corey policy if we get that information, and then privacy policy. Okay. So at 8:31, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Thanks. I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor here? Janine?
Yes.
Kate? No.
Yes.
Yeah, Kate, you're there. I was like, without seeing your faces, I was like, where'd they go? Okay, excellent. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next month.